Everybody was new to Formula One once. We've all had a first Grand Prix that we either watched or attended. So with that in mind, and the new season for 2025 not that far away, it's going to kick off in just over 2 months time, and of course the car reveals, the livery reveals, and pre-season testing will all be taking place in January, and in particular in February. I wanted to get ahead of the game by introducing you guys to a beginner's guide to Formula One, and today we're going to talk about the teams, the actual teams that compete in Formula One these days. Who are they? Which drivers have they got? What's the brief background on them? I'm going to go through all 10 teams in Formula One as fast as I can. So you may not realize it, but every one of Formula One's 10 teams employs hundreds of technicians, engineers, and support staff. It's about a lot more than the 2 drivers that you see racing the car each weekend. If you include the designers and the assembly employees as well, that number exceeds 1,000 for the vast majority of the 10 teams. There are 10 teams enrolled in the Formula One season for 2025, and this will expand to 11 teams in 2026 when Cadillac Racing joins the grid as the fabled 11th team. Like I just mentioned, each team can field 2 drivers for each race weekend. So let's jump into who these are. So we have the reigning constructors champions McLaren. They won their first constructors championship since 1998 in 2024, and they retain their driver lineup of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. They'll be looking to pick up their first drivers championship since 2008 after Lando Norris finished runner-up in the championship last season. Of course, they're a very historical team. They've been around since the 1960s, and they're powered by Mercedes engines. Next up, second in the constructors last season was Ferrari. Ferrari, historically the most successful team in Formula One, with the most drivers, constructors championships as well as the most wins, podiums, fastest laps, all the rest. They're the only team to have competed in every single Grand Prix Formula One season since 1950, and they actually date to even further back than that. They retain Charles Leclerc, the boy wonder, for their team in 2026, and they are joined by the most successful driver in the history of Formula One, Sir Lewis Hamilton, where he'll compete in red overalls for the first time in 2026, and the first time not being powered by Mercedes in his Formula One career. Third in the constructors last season was Red Bull Racing. They keep their 4-time world champion Max Verstappen for 2026, and he is joined by Liam Lawson, the New Zealander driver, in his first full season of Formula One racing after making cameo appearances in both 2023 and 2024 for the junior team AlphaTauri, rebranded again to Racing Bulls for this year, but more on them very soon. Red Bull, of course, have had a lot of success in recent times in Formula One, winning a number of constructors titles and also quite a few drivers titles as well, with Verstappen currently and Sebastian Vettel in the past too. Fourth overall in the championship last season was Mercedes. They retained George Russell for this year, and he is joined by Kimi Antonelli, the 18-year-old Italian rookie who is named after the 2007 Formula One world champion Kimi Raikkonen, who is also Ferrari's last drivers champion as well. Mercedes dominated the start of the hybrid era in Formula One, but can they end it on a high before going into the big regulation change in 2026? They'll certainly be hoping so. Fifth place last season was Aston Martin. They retain the same driver lineup for 2025. They have Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll. They are powered by Mercedes engines for the final time in 2025 before switching to their own bespoke Honda engines in 26. Aston Martin ended 2024 on a very much a low, of them being one of the slowest cars on the grid, but they'll be hoping for an uptick in performance in 2025. Sixth overall last season was Alpine. They maintain Pierre Gasly for this season coming up, and he's joined by Jack Doohan, son of Mick Doohan, the 5-time MotoGP champion from the 1990s. Jack Doohan, of course, an Australian racer as well. He'll be competing in his first full season of Grand Prix racing after making a cameo appearance at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix last year. Seventh overall in the championship last season were Haas F1. After being absolutely terrible in 2023, where they were bottom of the constructors, they absolutely rose up massively under Ayuka Matsu. Haas are, in a sense, to an extent a bit of a Ferrari B team, but I have, you know, kind of said that recently they've kind of shaken off that tag. They're doing their own thing these days. Like I said, Komatsu is doing an excellent job with them. They are powered by the Ferrari power unit, and they have many parts from Ferrari that they buy in. They have an entirely new lineup for 2025. Ollie Behrman will be competing in his first full season of Grand Prix racing after a couple of cameo appearances for Haas last season, and he's joined by Esteban Ocon, who joins from Alpine after his rather controversial exit from the team, shall we put it. More information from that in some of my older videos if you want to look it up. Haas, of course, the only American team in Formula 1. 8th overall last season was the Racing Bulls. They were called RB last year, but they're back as the Racing Bulls this year. Yuki Tsunoda enters this season as the most experienced Racing Bull driver of all time in his 5th season with the Red Bull B team. Of course, Racing Bulls are the B team officially to Red Bull Racing. And Isaac Hadjar, the Formula 2 runner-up from 2024, joins the Japanese driver Yuki Tsunoda. I'm really excited to see what Hadjar can do this year, and with the Honda power unit, the Red Bull powertrain Honda engine, or whatever it's known as these days, in the back of the car, just like the senior Red Bull team, I think they've got a very good chance of shaking up the order on their day. Williams, they have arguably one of the best driver lineups in the sport. They finished 9th overall last season, which was not very good for them at all. A lot of crashes, of course. Alexander Albon maintains his place, the Thai driver, and he's joined by Carlos Sainz, who comes from Ferrari. That's a real coup for Williams, showing that, you know, they're a team that have won a lot of championships in the past. They're one of the most successful teams in Formula 1. I think McLaren have matched them now for Constructors' Championships, and they are 3rd overall in terms of Drivers' Championships as well. They haven't won a championship for a very, very long time. The last time they did that was 1997, and it's been a very long time since they've even won a race. Williams last winning a race, I believe, with the legend that is Pastor Maldonado in 2012. It's been a long, long time, but they'll be hoping to get back up the order in the coming years. And the final team, Sauber, the last year they'll be known as Sauber, for now at least, they are being taken over officially by Audi for 2026, where they'll have their own engines as well. For now, though, they are still known as Sauber. The Swiss team are powered by Ferrari engines. The real minnows in Formula 1 these days. They've really struggled over the last 10 years, if not even longer, to be honest with you. They have an entirely new lineup. Of course, they have ditched Valtteri Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou, who both exit the sport as full-time drivers. Nico Hülkenberg joins from Haas, and Gabriel Bortoleto, the Formula 2 champion, joins from, well, the McLaren development program, but he, of course, was racing in F2 last year, so he is a rookie this year, and the first Brazilian full-time driver since Felipe Massa in 2017. The first Brazilian of any kind to compete in a Grand Prix weekend, I believe, since one of the Fittipaldi brothers. I always forget which one. I think is it Pietro? Is it Enzo? I always get mixed up between the two of them. Anyway, one of the grandsons of the great Emerson Fittipaldi. But yeah, those are the 10 teams, guys. I've tried to run through them as fast as I can. I've took a bit longer than I thought I would. But yeah, those are the 10 teams in Formula 1. Which is your favourite team? If you're new to Formula 1, which one are you going to support? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, keep it subscribed to the F1Chronicle.com to see much more content just like this on the world of motorsport. Like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell as well. I will see you soon, guys. Have a good one.